So, seeing as today is still a holiday, I've not been able to pick up another canvas. So, I found this one. I may have one more yet. Older painting that could use a bit of work. Some paintings, usually if the painting just doesn't turn out, doesn't cut the mustard, I'll get rid of it pretty quickly. But if I think there's some hope for it, or if it's gone to a gallery, and I was confident in it, as with the last one, but the public, chose, or put it this way, the right person didn't come along. That's the way it's often described. I may rework it, or I may send it to another gallery, and then very often, it sells at a different gallery. But the last one had been at 2 different galleries, not for exhibitions, just to hang in their regular collections. And I'm happy with that one now. This one is weaker. But there's still something about it that I really liked, and I thought I'm just going to maybe do a bit of work on it. I've cleaned off with not mineral spirits but actual turpentine and cotton swabs. I've cleaned the painting, so the varnish is gone. I've cleaned it thoroughly enough that some of the paint started to show up on the cotton swab. Now, you never are allowed to do that if you're, during the restoration of an ancient painting, but this is my painting. It's a few years old. It's not a big deal. So I thought, let's see what I can do with this, seeing as I don't have another canvas yet. Odds are this will be the only video for the time being of this painting, because tomorrow I plan on getting another canvas and starting something new. But in the meantime, it's funny, I plan to take a break from painting, and then it's kind of rainy and cold outside, don't want to go for a motorbike ride, don't want to go for a drive or anything, and then I just end up wanting to paint. So, obviously I love painting, but so I grabbed this one, and I've always kind of known what was a bit weak about it. And now I'm going to play and revamp it. Try to make it into a stronger painting again. This bush standing here in the foreground with that intense red. There's nowhere else in the painting that has that intense a color, never mind red. So it was a bit of an outlier. I don't mind the shape breaking up the water, but it was too much. It was a little bit over the top. The sky, the sweep, I like that. But I think what would help is to take some of these colors and introduce them into here and break this up a little bit. I like this. I might push that back a little bit. We'll see. That's something I play by ear. Those are decisions I make as I'm fixing things. So when I look at it, I consider this bush to be the biggest sin. Actually, this bush and these rocks, I'm not happy with how they're formed. Don't need to get into that. It almost looks like I don't know, got impatient or something. But the water itself, considering the large amount of space it occupies, there's not a lot of interest in there. There's not a lot of design, not a lot of variation in values or chroma. So we end up with this very chalky, flat area, and then we jump into the strong stuff again. And this water needs to be broken up with maybe some of the darker blues, something from here too, cutting into the water here and there. And I'd like to, I think, break this a little bit. I'd like to push this up a little bit into the composition with a darker foreground. I don't know, would it be a rock or a stump or something like this? I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But seeing as I have seeing as I've cleaned the entire foreground, I don't feel too bad about just going ahead and playing in it. No, it's a knife painting, albeit I used a small knife when I first did it. I'm going to go over it with the brush because those knife strokes, those ridges and valleys are pretty prominent, and if I just go a knife now over that knife work, it's going to look a little odd. Oh, another thing. There was another thing. This distant shore, I had it at a pretty good angle. Now I'll sometimes do that on closer land masses to sort of guide the eye. I'll bring the shoreline like this a little bit to guide the eye towards the focal area. I didn't do that on this land mass, but here the whole thing kind of sunk. And the farther away that landmass gets, the farther away the point at which the water meets the shore, or the land, the less you'll see an angle. It eventually just becomes completely horizontal. And I was a little clumsy with that, so that's another thing I'd like to address. Well, I've already addressed it. I've already straightened it up. I laid some raw umber and a little bit of touch of ultramarine blue and some turpentine in there. By the way, I cleaned this with turpentine. It's stronger, has more ability to clean than mineral spirits does. So at least to the best of my memory, it does. So that's what I used for that. And I'm thinning this off now with turpentine as well. So we'll end up with a good chemical bond to the paint that's already on the canvas. Somewhat of a mechanical bond, but especially a good chemical bond. So I'm not worried about workmanship issues. Okay, let's go back to a bit of white here. Our colors in the water are pretty much white and yellow ochre and ultramarine blue. So that's why I'm going back into it. If I end up with an area on this painting, and I know I will, that looks too smooth, we have an area that looks like it's all brushed work and another area that looks like it's knife, I will just go over it with the knife. And it won't be that noticeable because I've already got the colors in with the brush. But I know this water needs more interest, and it's all high value. I'm going to introduce some low value to it. Lower value. Now this bush may not be a complete waste of time. Maybe we can make some use out of it to some degree, just coming off the rock. I like something interesting over here. It was just kind of over the top. I think I'm a little too light. Paint over with a little more darkness and lighten it up if you have to. Yeah, let's just slowly work our way into getting rid of all that high value. I don't mind streaks of high value, but this whole area is just too big of a mass. Years ago, when I started to paint, I would only use a knife or a brush. But that was for the purpose of a handicap, and that was an aid to teach me how to use both. Now I feel, I no longer feel guilt in using both implements. Not a problem. Let's just cut across the top of that. Yeah, that's certainly heading in the right direction. Yeah, that bit of foliage in the foreground, that might just stay. We'll see. I'm not promising anything. Yeah, that's made that edge of the painting a little less important. I'll be bringing some of that into here as well. Don't make suggestions until you've seen the finished work. It's a bad idea because you have no idea what I have planned for the painting. Never do that to a painter, an artist of any sort. Just let it go. Everybody has ideas about what they want to see happen. And don't forget, the person who's actually doing the job also has ideas. And you don't know what they are. Okay, there will be more happening here, but I'm going to leave that for now. For the sake of the video, let's just keep it a bit short. Like I say, this might be the only video of this painting until, if it seems to be going well, I'll visit it in the future. But, again, for the sake of the video, maybe we'll just... Let's take a little yellow ochre. A little bit of alizarin crimson. Is that too strong already? That's pretty strong. Yeah, let's put a little bit of ultramarine blue in there and a little more alizarin crimson. We'll go more purple. Of course, you don't get to make simple direct brushstrokes on this because we're trying to cover thoroughly that red that was there. Okay, now just some straight yellow ochre, maybe a touch of white. Bring the value up. More yellow ochre, hint of alizarin crimson, and white. Oops. Bit of brush junk. Just some straight yellow ochre. Maybe a little bit of alizarin crimson. Pretty smudgy. Let's give it some form. I don't care if it blends in perfectly with the background. Don't care at all. I just need it to look that as though this is not, bumping up into there. Purple, purple. A little bit of purple. A little bit lower value purple. Okay, I've got a lot of small brush strokes sitting in there. And I'm just going to say, that's enough. So you knew what was there. You can see what's there now. And if you look very closely, you can see that something's been done here. But from a viewer who didn't know that existed before, that would be such a thing that would be quick to look over, easy to ignore. And even upon some scrutiny, it would be, yeah, whatever, who cares? But what it'll do is still introduce just a hint of darker paint here and there. Okay, that's a bit clumsy. Okay, that took a bit of work, but we got rid of this from here. It's not square. It's a little bit wider than it is high. I'm happy to make it a little more panoramic in feel and in attitude. So I don't mind keeping this bush down low. I'll have a little more interest laid in areas. You know, this guy's not finished. The water's not finished. This foreground isn't finished. I think I may even bring some rock up into this bit of peninsula a little bit. There's so much that's not done on this. I just wanted to show you the beginning of the transformation. I'm just going to stand up and have a look. Back up. Yeah, we're definitely on the right track. Going to remove more of this chalk. I might even put a bit of this over here. You know, we're just going to keep playing. It's far from done. Anyway, talk to you soon.